Sean bienvenidos todos, mi linda gente hispanohablante. Donald Trump está enfrentando una nueva crisis internacional y esto podría ser mucho más serio de lo que parece. Desde Canadá, Charlie Angus, ex miembro del Parlamento canadiense, lanzó una advertencia final en contra de Kristi Noem, una de las figuras más cercanas a Donald Trump, acusándolo de poner en peligro la seguridad y los recursos estratégicos del país. Quédense, porque lo que se está revelando detrás de este conflicto podría cambiar mucho lo que imaginamos de la política estadounidense. Quédense fuera de aquí. Ese fue el mensaje poderoso del ex miembro del Parlamento de Canadá, Charlie Angus, para Kristi Noem, quien ahora forma parte del consejo asesor de una empresa de Canadá llamada Novaret. Sabemos lo que traman, sabemos lo que han hecho. Quédense fuera de aquí. Charlie Angus pronunció este contundente discurso en el Parlamento de Canadá. Quiero mostrarles lo que sucedió. Este es un discurso del que, bueno, van a querer ver cada minuto. Miren muy atentos esto, por favor.
Canadians were shocked and offended when it was announced that Kristi Noem had been appointed to the board of a Vancouver-listed mining company. Kristi Noem's horrific human rights abuses as head of Homeland Security raises serious questions about why Nova Red Mining brought her on as the face of their British Columbia exploration venture. Kristi Noem represents a clear threat to Canada's security and our economic independence. Copper is a strategic and key mineral that will be vital in Canada's diversification strategy to free us from the grip of the United States. Her presence in this sector raises too many red flags to be ignored. Kristi Noem has displayed her contempt for our sovereignty time and time again. She's targeted our nation. She lied about us on multiple occasions and falsely claimed that we represent a serious threat to the American people, all with the deliberate intention of undermining trust with our number one trading partner. Canadians have not forgotten her deplorable stunt at the Haskell Library on the Vermont-Canadian border, where she insulted our sovereignty and claimed that we were not a real nation. And then she lied in stating that this symbol of longstanding friendship between our two countries was a center for international drug smuggling. This is appalling behavior, but I mean, what can you expect from a woman who brags about shooting puppies? The issue of copper, though, is key. Donald Trump has claimed that copper from Canada represents a national security threat to the United States. A national security threat. That's what you say about narco gangs and terrorism, but he identified our strategic minerals as a national security threat. And he made this statement as he was appointing Kristi Noem as his envoy to the so-called Shield of the Americas. So Kristi Noem has been given quasi-diplomatic status by Donald Trump on a military political coalition of right-wing states offering intelligence support to the Trump agenda. Canada is not part of this coalition. But now Kristi Noem has been brought in as a strategic advisor by a company that is stacking its board with U.S. military connections. What's going on here? Are we to assume that her role in this Canadian copper venture is a side hustle, separate and apart from her work as Donald Trump's envoy on ensuring American dominance in the hemisphere? Our Prime Minister rightly sees copper and other critical minerals as key to building stronger economic ties with our democratic allies in Europe. This strategy is in open defiance of Trump's Dunroe doctrine that insists that Canada must be a weak vassal state serving American interests. But for Canada to bring new copper mines into production, it requires careful and respectful negotiations with the First Nations in British Columbia. Now, I've spoken with a number of people in the industry who are rightly concerned that a toxic personality like Kristi Noem could easily throw off the trust and seriously impact development of new projects. In her time as governor of South Dakota, her toxic relations with Indigenous people was so bad that it resulted her from being banned from all of their homelands. And she is going to be the one involved in moving forward copper mining on Indigenous territories in Canada. This is ridiculous. Nova Red is a company whose chief executive lives in Nevada. The company has populated its advisory board with a sequence of high-profile United States hires, a retired U.S. Army colonel with intelligence experience in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, a retired U.S. Navy commander who conducted Cold War classified air reconnaissance and Gulf War combat support. They then brought in Kristi Noem with her toxic reputation as a key Trump loyalist. And then the company doubled down this past week on their MAGA focus by hiring Katie Zachariah, who describes herself as a Trumpette and an advisor to Donald Trump's Truth Social. And yet, because they've obtained a post office box in Canada, they are now eligible for a huge array of Canadian tax credits. This company raises multiple red flags, and questions must be asked about their stand on the corporate ESG. That's the environmental, social, and governance, which is key for any mining company to reassure investors it can deal with complex issues like First Nations, like environment, and like human rights. Wow. Kristi Noem's human rights record should have made her an anathema to any corporation looking to establish a credible reputation in Canada. Amnesty International has done a major investigation into the torture and abuse at Alligator Alcatraz, where Kristi Noem posted photos of herself standing in front of the cages. Amnesty documented, quote, a deliberate system to punish, dehumanize, and hide the suffering of people in detention. Medical neglect, torture, abuse. Over 32 people died in detention by the end of 2025 under Kristi Noem's watch. Kristi Noem oversaw illegal deportations of people not even convicted of crimes to El Salvadorian concentration camps. There were serious allegations over misspending when she was governor and in charge of Homeland Security. So what does she bring to the table? Human rights violations, torture, defying the federal court. And now she's setting up to do business with the natural resources of Canada. This morning, I call on Canada's government to examine the role of Kristi Noem and Nova Red Mining and what their plan is for our natural resource sector. She is an official of the Trump regime, and she's providing strategic advice to this company, so Canadians deserve to know what that means. Is she being paid? Is she receiving shares or stock options? Because I don't see on the books of Nova Red Mining that suggests that they have the finances to pay for someone like Kristi Noem. So is she being paid by the Trump regime to help advance this company? Does she have access to Canadian critical mineral data, strategy, financing that would help them? And would she be using her contacts that she developed in her time with Homeland Security? These are all questions we need to know. So I'm asking the minister responsible for innovation, science, and economic development to review Nova Red under the Investment Canada Act and determine whether or not there are any national security concerns. Or, let's just be simple, we should just ban her. What the hell is she doing in our country? And I say this because we remember that one of the first things that happened with Prime Minister Carney's watch was that they banned the Irish hip-hop group Kneecap. The reasons for banning Kneecap were arbitrary and then turned out to be false, yet the government moved ahead. So if they can ban Kneecap, why the hell would they have Kristi Noem deal with anything to do with our mineral sector? I raise these concerns as the economic threat to Canada continues. The Gordie Howe Bridge remains closed. The Trump regime continues to threaten and intimidate us. Kristi Noem's hatred of our country has been made clear. She has no business being involved in anything to do with our country.
Sí, ya les dije, qué discurso tan poderoso de Charlie Angus, un verdadero luchador por el pueblo, no solo de Canadá, sino de las personas que aman la democracia en todo el mundo. Así es como se hace, es increíble, es conmovedor tener a alguien como Charlie Angus liderando a Canadá y verlo todavía pronunciando estos poderosos discursos en el Parlamento de Canadá. Vaya, que es maravilloso la verdad. Porque sí, tener figuras políticas, figuras públicas que sean capaces de pronunciarse y que el pueblo las escuche, que el pueblo las quiera e internacionalmente también sean queridas, más aún estando en un país en el que el propio presidente, refiriéndonos a Estados Unidos, no es querido, ¿verdad? Bueno, no es querido no porque la gente sea mala, sino porque el presidente no ha hecho las cosas bien, se ha encargado de destruir la economía, el bienestar, la asequibilidad básicamente todos los aspectos de la vida de las personas cotidianas, de las personas del día a día, del 99.9% de la población. Porque todos sabemos que el 0.01 está de maravilla ganando miles de millones de dólares a costa de las costillas del presidente. Pero bueno amigos, con esto quería dejar el video, un video corto, un video interesante la verdad. Espero de todo corazón que les haya gustado. Si fue así, por favor, no olviden dejarme su comentario. Recuerden que para mí lo más importante siempre va a ser su opinión y voy a estar muy atento a esta barrita de comentarios leyendo lo que ustedes me digan. También les quiero recordar que si les gusta el contenido de política estadounidense, les va a encantar suscribirse al canal, ya que subimos videos como estos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, yo soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarlos diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.